I'm Janelle Stolten-Holtmeyer, Associate Editor of Modern Distribution Management and MDM.com. And today, I'm talking with David Gordon of Channel Marketing Group. David is a veteran of business-to-business marketing, having worked with distributors and manufacturers on development and implementation of their marketing strategies. Today, he joins us to talk about the changing landscape of distribution. Hi, David. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Janelle. Thanks.
So, at a broad level, what do you see happening in the world of distribution today?
We're seeing lots of changes that are emanating really from the recession that we've had over the last couple of years, and a lot of convergence from extra capacity within industries, changing customer needs, the role of, I don't want to say so much just the internet in the sense of but everything electronic is impacting the way services and information is being delivered. We're seeing generational issues that are coming to a head, the need for capital, and companies haven't invested so much of their personal income, especially in the privately held companies, over the last 3 years to stay afloat. And then we're even seeing companies that are seeking either diversification to capture a broader spend from the customer. And all these things are converging together to accelerate a lot of the acquisitions and a lot of the requirements for what it's going to take to be a strong distributor in the future. And it's also having a lot of potential impact on manufacturers as how they address the channel going forward. We've broken it down to what we call a baker's dozen, that there's 13 issues that between this year we see over the next 2 years are probably going to separate a lot of the distributors into high performers or lifestyle. We've actually segregated distributors into 4 different categories and put some criteria in to help manufacturers and distributors evaluate themselves. You look at the baker's dozen, it starts at the generational issues. A lot of people getting into their 60s, 70s. If there's not succession already planned into the business, that creates challenges, especially after the past couple of years where maybe a lot of money may have been put into the business or staff's been cut back. When they look at the economic outlook, they say, can we succeed? Can we grow? Or are we putting the family's wealth at risk? And they're looking at exit strategies. We're looking at companies that are saying, we need more volume, or they're diversifying. Sales is changing. Companies are selling more and more on the internet. Customers want more and more information on the internet. And all that means is additional investments for distribution, especially in a marketplace where many margins are eroding, where there's just not as much business that are out there. And there's also tax implications and access to capital that's changing. And from a manufacturer viewpoint, they're concerned about where they're getting their sales increases, so they start opening up more people and maybe not being as focused on selected distribution versus going after the quick dollars, and that's obviously impacting the difference between supplier relations and purchasing within a distributorship. So it's been interesting there.
You just mentioned that you divide distributors into 4 categories. Can you give me an overview of what those categories are?
We're calling them a niche distributor, which are people who focus in limited geographic areas, limited market segments. They're usually more product specialists, very service-oriented, typically are technologically adept, even if it's just within their product category. They may have succession questions within the business. There are companies who are strictly lifestyle companies, and I think we all can identify some distributors who fit into that category. There's a number of distributors who are more transactional in nature, and that's been their trend. They typically have multiple geographic areas, pretty much homogeneous in the market segments that they go after, broad product offerings, decentralized operational platforms typically. So they really have some challenges in bringing value-added services and solutions to their customers. And then at the top level, we have what we call accelerators, who are typically here again in multiple geographic areas, but they have a diversified product offering, go after diversified market segments. They're very good at marketing. They're very good at adding services to the products. They have a very strong operational platform, and they've got succession issues already taken care of. We've put those 4 scenarios into 4 different quadrants, and when we've mapped out distributors, obviously you want to be north of the diagonal, but we find more distributors lean more towards the niche and lifestyle type of company. An exercise for manufacturers to go through to figure out how to really stratify their distribution.
What kind of issues do acquisitions bring to the landscape?
It's interesting with a lot of the acquisitions, there's not a lot of people in a lot of the markets who have access to capital. Typically it's the bigger people or the very well-run companies. Those companies historically had gone after some of the smaller players and just grown incrementally. Now they're acquiring the larger companies, let's say from about 75, 100 million up to $300-400 million, taking big chunks. So what's going to happen is longer term, the industry has large players and small players. A lot of that middle family-owned business is starting to go away. What that will mean for the industry long term is going to be less choice for customers. It could create some interesting opportunities for some of the smaller companies to diversify themselves and start banding together. For manufacturers, a lot of it's going to come down to who to partner up with. And the bigger companies, one of the things we're seeing is trying to diversify, and they're really looking at the end user and saying, what else do they buy? So if you're in electrical, getting into the tools business, getting into industrial supply. We saw the Grainger acquisition of the fastener distributor over in Europe. There's an electrical distributor up in New England that bought a mechanical services company to diversify their energy solutions offering. So companies are trying to broaden out.
So what's driving a lot of the mid-sized family-owned businesses out of the marketplace?
The trends we've seen a lot emanate, like I said, out of the recession. A lot of them right now are contractor-oriented businesses and typically commercial construction-oriented. Last 2-3 years, there hasn't been much going on in the commercial construction marketplace. You look at the plumbing industries and roofing and building materials, which are all construction-related. Their businesses have dropped significantly. And when you look out over the next 3 to 5 years, the outlook is not too good. So people survive the recession by either cutting back or reinvesting back into their business, a lot of times with personal money. And now they look out another 3 to 5 years. Do they want to stay in business? Do they want to try cashing in if they can get a reasonable offer? And if they don't have generational support, if they don't have kids in the business, this is their retirement. If they can get a reasonable offer, they're taking it. With a lot of these distributors, they've got to get their operational costs down as much as they can and use technology to do that. The challenge is if you're a small to mid-sized company, how much more are you going to invest into your business to drive those costs further down?